Hello all, and welcome to Stingray Tom's Florida and another Take 5 for Florida History. Today is part 6 in my series on the official state symbols of Florida. So far I've covered the official bird, marine mammal, shell, and gemstone, and this one will be about the official stone, Agatized coral. You can watch the introductory video on the series by clicking on the link here. I'll also add it to the show notes. There's no need to watch them in order, though the intro tells the story of how we got so many official symbols. They're all in a playlist as well. As I discussed in the episode on Moonstone, Florida isn't exactly a terrific location to find a diverse collection of rocks and minerals. The state is mostly made up of limestone and sand. That's not to say it isn't geologically interesting. It certainly is. But there's a pronounced lack of gold and diamond mines, massive granite formations, or beautiful specimens of exotic minerals such as topaz, emerald, or sapphire. For example, moonstone isn't native to Florida, but you'll have to check out my moonstone video to learn why Florida chose it as its state gem. Possibly the most remarkable aspect of Florida geology, at least for non-geologists, is the state's agatized coral deposits. Agatized coral is both unusual and beautiful. It was also helpful to the people who called the peninsula home, as they used it to fashion cutting tools. First of all, let me say that all the examples shown in this video are part of my personal collection. So let's start by taking a look at where agatized coral is found in Florida. That can help us understand how it was formed. The good news is that it's helpful to know about the Whitlakuchi River. The bad news is that Florida has two Whitlakuchi rivers in separate parts of the state. What I want to explore is the northern Whitlakuchi River that's mostly in Georgia. Only its end is in Florida as it flows southward into the Suwannee River near the small city of Live Oak in Suwannee County. There's only about 30 miles of it in Florida, but it and the Suwannee are certainly hot spots for agatized coral. By the way, it seems that the name Whitlakuchi is derived from the Creek language and means little big river. Meanwhile, it's much less certain as to the etymology of Suwannee. It's been argued that it's based on a word in one of a couple of the languages of the local indigenous tribes, or possibly a derivation of the Spanish name San Juan. Neither story really seems to hold water, however. Both the Whitlakuchi and the Suwannee rivers meander in Florida's flat topography and are generally undeveloped and mostly used for recreation, including swimming, boating, and fishing. The second location for agatized coral, the Econfina River, is also close to the Whitlakuchi, being situated southwest of it in the Big Bend area of the state, running through Taylor County to Appalachia Bay and the Gulf of Mexico. Its name comes from a Creek word describing an earth bridge, possibly referring to a natural river crossing on the river rather than the river itself. The official stone can also be found in a third region, the Tampa Bay area, most commonly around the shore of Hillsborough Bay within the boundaries of the city of Tampa itself. Hillsborough Bay is one of two smaller bays that are offshoots of the massive Tampa Bay. For the sake of completeness, let me say that the name Tampa is possibly derived from the Calusa or Timucua languages, the peoples that lived on the west coast of the peninsula. Early Spanish explorers mentioned it as the name of a village or settlement, but the meaning of the word has been lost. These three locations are the primary areas where agatized coral has been regularly found. It's most often discovered while digging in river bottoms and banks or through commercial dredging operations where the stone ends up being considered an interesting byproduct. In the part of the earth that would become Florida, agatized coral began as living coral over 30 million years ago. Corals are marine invertebrates, animals that live in compact colonies in the world's tropical oceans. They secrete calcium carbonate to form a hard skeleton, which, in turn, has built the massive coral reefs around the world, including the one off the Florida Keys, which is the third largest in the world. Along with coral, clamshells and occasionally other shells have gone through the same fossilization process, as can be seen here. This particular type of fossilization occurs when the original calcium carbonate is replaced by chalcedony, a form of silica that's commonly known as quartz that comes from silicates that are dissolved in groundwater. Occasionally, the chalcedony is also found with large visible quartz crystals. Quartz is the second most common mineral in Earth's crust after feldspar. Once again, check out my moonstone video for information on that. Quartz is comprised of silica and oxygen, and like feldspar, it's created when magma cools, often forming granite. Quartz is hard but brittle, rather obvious traits when you consider it's also the main constituent in glass. It appears in igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks, which is why it can be found in Florida, a land which is essentially lava or granite-free. It doesn't just appear in agatized coral, however. Much of the sand on Florida's beaches is comprised of quartz, though once you get far enough south in the state, it starts being replaced with calcium carbonate, which of course comes from coral and seashells. The term agatized refers to a variety of translucent chalcedony called agate, which has microcrystals that are too small for the eye to see. This agate is characterized by banding and beautiful colors, properties that are common to many agates. Much of Florida's agatized coral can be labeled silicified because their original forms, and even sometimes their internal structures, have been replaced by quartz of one form or another. This means that much of the original look of the coral is retained. It's much like the fossilization of dinosaur bones, the remains of animals such as Tyrannosaurus rex, which paleontologists find have been fossilized into stone but retain the exact appearance of the original bones. A secondary aspect seen at some times in Florida's agatized coral is something geologists typically call Druze, which is a coating of fine crystals on a rock's surface. Druze occurs throughout the world and is particularly common in quartz deposits such as Florida's agate. Florida's ancient and current conditions are ideal for Druze to occur, as it requires a situation where water collects and evaporates on rock, riverbanks and beds being particularly common places. Being comprised of fine crystals, one's best seen through a magnifying glass, the Druze surface appears to sparkle. This sets it apart from the larger crystals of quartz that can appear, as well as the microcrystalline structure of the chalcedony agate. In all, there is quite a bit of variation in Florida's agatized coral deposits. As can be seen, the colors range from deep browns through tans and yellows and on to nearly white or transparent. In some specimens, the lighter yellow color can have a greenish tint and takes on an appearance of sulfur. Because of the nature of the Druze, the interiors of some rocks appear as a series of rounded bumps or nodules. So on to where it can be seen. I've listed the 3 most common locations to find agatized coral in the wild, so to speak, but it has to be said that due to its rare occurrence and many years of rockhounds searching for it, it's unlikely to appear to the casual hunter, especially in the larger specimens. What's best is to visit the several Florida museums such as the Florida Museum of Natural History in Gainesville and the Gillespie Museum at Stetson University. Any good-sized rock and mineral show in the state is likely to have at least one dealer and a decent amount for sale, from tiny fragments up to larger pieces, usually called cabinet specimens, that are 5 or more inches in size. I'd also recommend checking out local gem and mineral clubs if you live in Florida. While most of the rocks their members collect have little to do with Florida, there's inevitably someone in the club who specializes in Florida geology. They can probably give you more information than I can here. Plus, these clubs often have sales or auctions where interesting pieces can be found. I'm lucky that I've been able to collect a few interesting examples of Florida State stone over the years. I hope you've appreciated seeing my collection. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching another of Stingray Tom's videos. Please check out the other videos in the series, Florida State Symbols. I hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. Stingray Tom's Florida, traveling through time around the Sunshine State.